Hello students, myself Jannavi Gore. Now we are going to study about the lesson number 5 of your NCERT textbook, that is the continuity and differentiability. But in this video we are going to study only the topic continuity. The differentiability we will study in the next part. So in this topic first we are going to study only the continuity. Now what is a continuity? That is, the function is continuous. The word continuity itself says that it should be continuous. Now the word continuous means without break. There should not be any break in the certain interval. So when the function is such that it does not break at any point in the given interval, then the function is called as a continuous function. Now to understand this, we will take the example. Let's consider one of the example as a linear equation. You already studied about the linear equation in 10th standard. So if I consider the linear equation, y is equal to 2x plus 3. Here we have not mentioned in the interval. It means it is all real numbers. So now the equation as we have taken y is equal to 2x plus 3. We will try to plot the graph. Now we know that to plot the graph, we have to take the different values of x and we will try to find out the different values of y. And then we will plot the graph and check. Now for that, I am going to take the values as x as minus 2, minus 1, 0, 1 and 2. So when we replace x as minus 2 here, naturally what we get? Minus 4 plus 3, that is a minus 1. So similarly when we replace minus 1, we will get it as a 1. By 0, replacing 0, we get 3, 5 and 7. Now we will plot the graph of this. Here we have plotted the point, that is a minus 2 is minus 1, minus 1 is 1, 0 is 3, 1 is 5 and 2 is 7. So after joining this, we get a straight line, and this straight line does not break at any point, and so we say that this is a continuous function. As it is a straight line, I don't have, whenever I join this all the point, I don't have to pick up my pointer. So this is called as a continuous function. Now every linear equation is normally the continuous because it is a polynomial whenever they are not mentioned the specified intervals. Now we'll take another example of the continuous function. We will take another example where we are going for the modulus, because it looks like as a simple one function, but because of modulus we are breaking the modulus. We know that in a modulus means the function becomes a x for x greater than or equal to 0 and becomes a minus x for x is less than 0. So though it looks like as a simple, that is only modulus x, it is divided in two parts. One as a x when for the greater than 0 and minus x for x less than 0. Now again we'll try to plot the graph of this function. Now for that we'll take different values. We'll take 2 negative, 2 positive and 1 0. So we have taken minus 2. Naturally the modulus of minus 2 is 2. Modulus of minus 1 is 1. 0 is 0, 1, 1, 2, 2. So we have got this point. Now we'll plot this point. Now what we observed? We have plotted the point, that is a minus 2, 2, minus 1, 1, 0, 0, 1, comma 1 and 2, comma 2. Now when you try to join this point, we are not getting a single straight line, but these are the two straight lines meet each other at the point O. Then also we are going to say it is a continuous, because observe, I am moving from one point to the another with my pointer. I don't have to lift my pointer and I can join all the points. So this function is called as a continuous function. Now it means that in the first we have stated if it is a single straight line, it is a continuous. If the two straight lines are such that they intersect in the one point and we can join without lifting our pointer, then also it becomes a continuous. Now we will go for another example, that is for the non-continuous function. Now for the non-continuous function, I will go for we'll select the function as a signum function. We have studied about the signum function in the 11th standard. What is the signum function states? Are you remembering? We say that the value of f of x becomes a 1 if all the values of x are positive, becomes a 0 for 0, and if x is a negative, then the value of f of x becomes a minus 1. Now we will plot the graph. That is a function here I have stated. That is f of x becomes a 1 if x is greater than 0, becomes a 0 if x is 0, and it becomes a minus 1 if x is less than 0. What it indicates? If I'll take any positive value, that means if I'll take 1, my answer will be 1. For 2, again it will be 1. So we have plotted this line. Every x, if it's a positive x, it will start but not exactly at 1 because it is should be greater than 0. So this is a straight line what we have drawn. At x is equal to 0, we get the value as a 0. So this is what we get in the red color pointer. While for the negative values, it is not exactly at minus 1. Next point from minus 1, this will be the straight line. Now if I'll try to join this, from this point to this point, I can join it without lifting my pointer. But now I want to join this point. So for that I have to lift my pointer. Again, I have to lift the pointer from here to here and then join. And so this function, which is as a step graph, we can call this as a step graph. This is a one step, this is another step, so it is called as a step graph. And so the function is not continuous function. Now every time it is not possible by just plotting the graph. That is, of course, we'll plot the graph and check. Plotting the graph is always time consuming and tedious job. So to check, we can go with the mathematical method. And for that, we are finding out the limiting value. Now you have studied about the limit already in the 11th standard, but we will recap that. And for that, first we have to go for the delta neighborhood. Now as it is a delta neighborhood, what is the word itself says? Neighborhood. So it is a neighborhood of certain part and delta is a mathematical term. Now we can check the continuity using the limit of the function. Now to find out the limit, what is the meaning of the limit? Limit extends to a of f of x. The meaning is that x is not a, but x tends to a. So we cannot take the value of x as a, but we can take the values which is nearer to the a. Now for example, here I will take an example, limit x tends to 2 of f of x. Here as we say x tends to 2, x will not be equals to 2, but x will be nearer to the value 2. So we will take a certain values. Let 1.9999, 1.95, 1.86, 2.001, 2.03, 2.05. All these values are considered, or we can say that they are close to 2. Because of that, when we do the approximation, all these numbers are approximate to the 2. We have not taken the exact value of 2. Now we will try to plot this value on a number line to understand what is mean by our neighborhood. These values what we get are called as a neighborhood of 2. Now to explain this, we will plot here what we have plotted. It is a 1.5. Don't consider this as a 1.6. It is a 1.625, 1.75, 1.875 and 2. According to that, this graph is plotted. Here I have not make a red mark at the point 2. We have given the colors that the value x tending to 2 can take the values which are in this interval, that is from this bracket to this bracket, and only the value here wherever the red color is marked, that is the values will be considered which is nearer to the 2 and approximation to the 2. But here we are not kept the red color at exact point 2 because we cannot take the value x is equal to 2. This delta, this is the distance which is considered as, it's called as a delta, which should be very small compared to the value of a. And then this interval from a minus delta to a plus delta is considered as tending to 2, where the delta should be very, very small, and this interval is called as a delta neighborhood of a, because in this interval the values which we are considering will be considered as extending towards the value as a. We have understood the concept of delta neighborhood. Now we will try to find out the left hand limit and right hand limit. Now what is the meaning of left hand and right hand limit? When we calculate the limit, according to that, here we have taken the number as a is tending to 2. So what we observe, certain values we get 1.999, 1.95, 1.86, which were nearer to the 2, but were less than 2. While some of the values, which was a 2.001, 2.03, 2.04, these values were nearer to the 2, but greater than 2. So according to the, whenever we tending to 2, we can take values which are less than 2 as well as which is a greater than 2. So according to the first, we'll go for the left hand limit. Now when the values are less than a but tending to a, and when we find the limiting value of this function, it is called as a left hand limit and denoted by limit x tends to a minus. This minus sign here is indicated that the function is, or the value is less than a. It doesn't mean that a x is equal to minus a. So this is called as a left hand limit. So we write the left hand limit as limit x tends to a minus of f of x. Now what is the right hand limit then? Values of x greater than a and tending to a. And when we calculate the limiting value for that is called as a right hand limit, and it is denoted by x tends to a plus. This plus sign indicates that it is a greater than a, while in this here it was a negative return. It indicates that it was a less than a, and then it is called as a right hand limit. The right hand limit is limit x tends to a plus of f of x. Now when these two values, that is a left hand limit and right hand limit, are equal, then we say the limit exists for a given function at x is equal to a. If we will not get these two values equal, then we say that the limit does not exist for that function. So to exist a limit, the requirement is that the left hand limit and the right hand limit must be equal every time. Now f of x is said to be the continuous at x is equal to a if limit x tends to a of f of x is equal to f of a. Here we are not saying left and right, we are just saying that limit x tends to a. It means indirectly it is the limit exists, it means the left and right are equal. So it indicates that the value of f of a is same as the value of limit of f of x, that is left and right are equal to the f of a. Then we can say that f of x is continuous at x is equal to a. Now every time we are not finding the left and right hand limit, then when to calculate or when to find out the left hand and right hand limit? If the function, the first example we have taken y is equal to 2x plus 3, the function was not given or not break any at part, so we cannot find out the left and right limit. Now when to find it, especially when the function is given in the breaking part, then only we are finding out the left and right limit. What it mean by, for that we'll take a certain example. That is, here we have explained f of x as x square plus 3 when x is less than 0. So when the value of x is less than 0, we have to select the function as x square plus 3. When x is equal to 0, we'll say that the value is 1. And if the value of x is greater than 0, then the f of x is x plus 3. It means for the greater than 0, we have to select this function. Here, for the 0, the function is divided in 3 parts. Less than 0 is a different, at 0 is a different, and greater than 0 is a different. And so in such cases, we will find out the left and right hand limit. Now for the left hand limit, first we will try to find out its left hand limit. Now the left hand limit, it means limit extends to 0 minus. As it is a left, always here it will be the negative of f of x. Here we have to select the function. There was a 3 functions given. We will select the function which is given for less than 0, and that function was x square plus 3. So we get limit extends to 0 minus of x square plus 3. Here we can substitute directly x as a 0 because the denominator is not there. So replace x as 0. We get 0 square plus 3 is equal to 3. So the left hand limit value, we get it as a 3. Now same way we will calculate the right hand limit. Now for the right hand limit, limit extends to 0 plus of f of x. We have to select the function which is given for greater than 0, and that function was x plus 3. So it will be limit x tends to 0 plus of x plus 3. Replace x at 0. So what we get, 0 plus 3 is 3. So here though the functions were different, it was x square plus 3, here it was x plus 3. Though the functions were different, we get the left and right hand limit are equal. And so we can say that the limit exists for this, and the value of limit is 3. But in a given question, f of 0 was given 1, which is not equal to the limit value, and that implies is the function is not continuous at x is equal to 0. In this case, limit existed, but the value of the limit was not equal to the value of a, and so the function is not continuous at x is equal to 0. Now where the function is given as x square plus 1 for x is less than 1 is equal to 2 for x is equal to 1 and is equal to x plus 1 when x is greater than 1. Now again we have to check the continuity of the function. It means that first we'll find out its left hand limit, right hand limit. So start with the left hand limit. For the left hand limit, a limit extends to 1 minus of f of x is limit extends to 1 minus of. So we'll select this function which is given for less than 1, x square plus 1. So replace x as 1, we get the value as 2. So we get the left hand limit as 2. Now we will try to find out its right hand limit. Okay, before that we'll go f of 1 is 2, that is directly given, and now we'll try to find out the right hand limit. The right hand limit, it means that limit extends to 1 plus of f of x. So that is the limit extends to 1 plus, we have to select the function which is given for greater than 1, so that is a function x plus 1. Replace x as 1, we get the value 2. Now here what we observed, left hand limit was also 2, f of 1 is also 2, and the right hand limit is also 2. Since all three are equal, it implies is that f of x is continuous at x is equal to 1. Now we will start with the concept of infinity, because in the earliest we have studied that we cannot divide by 0 to any of the number. 0 divided by any number is 0, but we cannot divide by 0. Now we'll try to find out the value of 1 upon x, and that is called as a concept of infinity. For that we'll consider that let f of x is equal to 1 upon x. Naturally, we cannot define this function at x is equal to 0, because if x becomes a 0, it will become 1 upon 0, and then it will become a undefined function. And for that, we cannot go, but we'll try to find out the limiting value. So we'll try to find out the limiting value for 0 plus. That means we are taking the values which are nearer to the 0 but greater than 0, and whatever the answer we get, it has called as infinity. Now for that, first we'll prepare a table and we'll check. I have taken the value greater than 0, so I have taken 0.1. I get it as a 10. We take the value of x as 0.01, we get it as 100. If I'll take this as 0.00001, I will get 10 raised to 5. So as I'm coming close to 0, because comparing this 0.1 and 0.0001, it is a closer to 1. As I'm coming close to the 0, my value go on increasing, and so we say that x tends to 0 plus as infinity. So that is called as infinity. And so we say that whenever we get 1 upon 0, and if it is x tends to 0 plus, we will get the answer as infinity. But if x becomes tending to 0 minus, then what we will get it as? Here we have just stated when x is tending to 0, 1 upon x will tends to 0. Similarly, we'll try to find when x is tending to 0 minus, what will be the value of f of x. For that, again we will take a different values of x and try to find out the values of f of x. Here we have taken the value as minus 1. We get it as a minus 1. If I'll go for minus 0.3, we'll get the value as minus 3.33. Minus 0.2, then it will be minus 5. If I'll take minus 0.1, then it is a minus 10. So on, whenever we are going on increasing the values of x, we get the values of f of x goes on increasing, but it is a negative, and so we can say that limit extends to 0 minus of f of x, as limit extends to 0 minus of 1 upon x is equal to minus infinity. So whenever we say that 0 divided by any number is a 0, but any number divided by 0 will be either the plus infinity or the minus infinity. So 1 upon x will be infinity or minus infinity, depends upon x tending to whether it is a plus 0 plus or 0 minus. Now we will start with the algebra of continuous function. There are two theorems. The first theorem states that if f and g are two distinct real functions continuous at a real number a, then we can say that f plus g is also continuous at x is equal to a. F minus g is also continuous at x is equal to a. F into g is also continuous at x is equal to a, and f upon g is also continuous at x is equal to a if g of a is not 0, because if g of a becomes a 0, we cannot define the function. Now what is mean by f plus g of function? That we have already studied in the 11th standard. That is, f plus g of x is nothing but f of x plus g of x. So this is the first theorem. Say for that the function f and g should be continuous, then they're all algebraic operations. It is a plus, minus, multiply or division are always a continuous function, and because of that it is called as a algebra of a continuous function. This was a theorem 1. Now again we can go with the theorem 2, but before that, what is mean by the composite function? Last year we have studied f over the g is read as a fog and g over the f. Every time the fog and gof may exist or may not exist. So that is a condition required. the algebra of the continuous function, but here we are going for the composite function. So f and g are real values function such that fog is defined at x is equal to a. Is defined, it means it is a exist. So to exist, this is a f over g. It means first we are going to simplify the function g, and whatever the value we get off from g, we are going to replace in the values that is in the function f of x, and so that is called as a fog. And to exist, thus the range of the g must be equal to the domain of the function f. If you are getting confused, just go and revise what you have studied in the 11th standard. Here we are going to just say that if these two functions are real values and this is a f over g is existing, then it will be the continuous. If g is a continuous and f is continuous at g of x. So for the composite function fog, it will be continuous if f and g both are continuous. Now to understand the mean or this, let's take one of the example. Now for example, if we are given f of x is cos of x square. Now remember, this is not a simple function because of this x square. If they are just written cos x, then it was a simple function. Here what happened? Cos of x square. X square itself is a one function and cos of the another function. So this function is called as a composite function. Now we will try to break this into the two simple functions. So let's say that g of x is cos x and h of x is x square. Now to check, first we have to whether to check for the f of x, we have to check the g of x and h of x, whether they are continuous or not. For that, first we will check the continuity of the function g of x for any value c, where c is any real number. Now for that, first we'll find out the limit. Limit of x tends to c of g of x will be limit x tends to c of cos of x will be same as cos c because x will be replaced by c. And what will be g of c? That is also cos of c. That is the same what we get as a limit value, and so it includes that, or it implies is that g is continuous at x is equal to c. Now we will check the continuity for the function h. H of x is x square. So h of c will be c square. Now we'll find out its limiting value. Limit x tends to c of h of x will be c square, which is same as h of c, and so that implies is h is a continuous at c. Here g was continuous and h is also continuous, while the f, which was a function of g over h, and so that will also becomes a continuous function. Now we will go for the one theorem. Its name is a sandwich theorem. Correct? Now it's interesting name, that is a sandwich. But what the theorem states, if a and b are the real numbers and f of x is any function such that b is less than or equals to limit x tends to a of f of x is less than or equals to b. So the value of this limiting function of f of x is sandwiched between this b and b. So it implies is that the value of f of x tending to a will be equals to b, and that is called as a sandwich theorem. Now that is sandwich theorem. Why we have studied this now? Because some in examples we have to apply this. Now for this we will take an example where we are going to use sandwich theorem, and why to use or whenever it is required to use, you will come to understand after this example. For that, I will take an example from your exercise 5.1, that is a question number 24. The question given was, determine whether the f defined by f of x as x square sine of 1 upon x if x is not equal to 0 and equal to 0 if x is equal to 0 is continuous function or not. To check the continuity, we know that first we have to find out the limit value, and limit of f of x will get it as f of 0. Then only we can say that it is a continuous function. So first check the continuity. What is x equal to 0? Our value of f of 0 is 0. Now we have to find out the limit of f of x. Here in the function it is given as 1 upon x. As x tending to 0, 1 upon x will becomes the infinity. And sine infinity is not defined because that depends on, again it will be the infinity. Doesn't have any fixed value. Now, so we cannot find directly replacing the value of x here and try to find out the value of limit of f of x. So for that, we will go with the method. For that, we are going to use the range of the function. Now we know that the range of the sine is -1 to 1. It means that the value of sine is always lies between -1 to 1. So I can write it as -1 is less than or equal to sine of 1 by x is less than or equal to 1. Now I want the value of x square sine of 1 by x. I don't value of required only the value of sine of 1 by x. So first I will multiply it by x square. So we get it as minus x square is less than or equals to x square sine of 1 upon x is less than or equals to x square. Now we want a limit. So we'll take a limit on all the sides. So limit x tends to 0 of minus x square is less than or equal to limit x tends to 0 of x square sine of 1 upon x is less than limit x tends to 0 of x square. Now in this side left and at the extreme right we can replace x as 0. Only the case we cannot replace x is equal to 0 here because of 1 upon 0 becomes a infinity. So what we get? 0 is less than of limit x tends to 0 of x square sine of 1 upon x is less than 0. So that implies this by the sandwich theorem as limit x tends to 0 of x square sine of 1 upon x is 0. F of 0 was also 0, and so we get limiting value is same as f of value, and so we can say that f of x is continuous at x is equal to 0. Now we will take one more sum where we are going to use the continuity. The question asked on the continuity is either check whether the function is continuous or not, or they have given the question like this: the function is continuous. They will ask to find out the value of k. Now to get the value of k, here we have taken the example f of x as. Now to find out the value, they have stated it is a continuous. It means limit value is same as f of pi by 2 value. Now f of pi by 2 is given 3. Since it is a continuous, we can say limit x tends to pi by 2 of f of x is equal to f of pi by 2. So limit x tends to pi by 2 of k cos x upon pi minus 2x is 3. Now in this case, we cannot replace directly x as pi by 2 because when we replace here, this 2x will becomes a pi. So pi minus pi. So this is the 0, as well as cos pi by 2 will also be the 0. So here we get in the form 0 by 0. Always remember 0 by 0 can be any real number. We have studied this last year. 0 by any non-zero number is a 0. 1 upon 0 is infinity, but 0 by 0 is not an infinity, not an 0. It becomes any real number. So this is going to be a certain real number. So we cannot replace x is equal to pi by 2. To solve such questions, we have to go for certain assumption. So we are going to assume let pi by 2 minus x becomes a theta. Then we will try to find out the value of x. The value of x will be pi by 2 minus theta. Now as x tends to pi by 2, your value of theta will become 0. So the question now we will change. The question given was limit x tends to pi by 2, k cos x upon 2 into pi by 2 minus x equal to 3. Here we will replace pi by 2 minus x as theta and x will be replaced by pi by 2 minus theta. We get limit theta tending to 0, k cos of pi by 2 minus theta upon 2 theta is equal to 3. Still we cannot replace theta as 0 because this again the 0. This was also the 0 only. But now we'll try to simplify this. We know that cos of pi by 2 minus theta is sine theta, and so we get it as k by 2, which were the constant, can be taken out of the limit. So this I can write it as k by 2 limit theta tends to 0 of sine theta upon theta, that is a 3. Now we know that we have studied this formula the last year. Limit theta tending to 0, sine theta by theta is always 1. And so replacing this as 1 here, we get k upon 2 into 1 is 3, and that implies is k is equal to 6. So here they have given the function as continuous and they have asked to find out the value for the certain value, that is a k. Now the point of discontinuity. The discontinuity, you have already studied what is mean by the continuity. When the function is a continuous, it is, we can say that it is a continuity or the. Now for the discontinuity, if f of x is not continuous at x is equal to a, then we say that x equal to a is the point of discontinuity. Now to understand the point of discontinuity, we'll take one example. We'll take the example from your exercise only, that is a 5.1, question number 7. The question here is given as f of x is modulus of x plus 3 if x is less than or equals to minus 3, equal to minus 2x if minus 3 is less than x is less than 3, and 6x plus 2 where if x is greater than 3. So here the function is divided in 3 parts. One is given for less than minus 3. Second, we will check that is given between minus 3 to 3. And the third part is given for x is greater than 3. So the function is break at the point minus 3 and 3. It doesn't mean that it will be discontinuous at minus 3 as well as at 3, or we cannot say guaranteed that it will be continuous for every point. So to check the discontinuity, first we'll check the continuity only. And if it is not continuous, we'll say that it is a discontinuous. Now for that, we have to check the discontinuity or the continuity at minus 3 and 3. So first we will check at x is equal. Now to check at x equal to minus 3, first we'll calculate the f of minus 3. For that, as the equality sign is here, we will use this function. So modulus of minus 3 plus 3, that will be equal to 6. We'll go for the left hand limit as minus 3 minus of f of x will be modulus of x plus 3. Here again we'll replace the value as minus 3 and we get it as a 6. We'll try to find out the right hand limit. For the right hand limit, we have to select the function which is greater than minus 3, that is a 2x. So this function f of x is written as minus 2x. Replace x as minus 3. So we get it again as a 2 minus 2 into minus 3, that is a 6. So what we get? This is a left hand limit was a 6, value was a 6, right hand limit also was 6. So limit, that is a left hand limit, that is x tends to minus 3 minus of f of x is equal to f of minus 3 is equal to x tends to 3 minus 3 plus of f of x. All three are equal. So f of x is continuous at x is equal to minus 3. So minus 3 is not the point of discontinuity. Now to check We will check the continuity at x is equal to 3 now. For that, again I have copied the question. Here, f of 3. Now f of 3, we have to select this function because the equality sign is with this. So f of 3 will be 6 into 3 plus 2, that is 20. Now we will go for to find out the left hand limit. Left hand limit, it means we have to select the function which is given for less than 3, and that function is minus 2x. So limit x tends to 3 minus of f of x is equal to limit x tends to 3 minus of minus 2, that is equal to minus 6. Now we will go for the right hand limit, that is a minus 3 plus, we get it as a 20. The right hand limit, limit x tends to 3 plus of f of x is equal to limit x tends to 3 plus of 6x plus 2. So that will be again the 20. Now here what we get? Left hand limit was minus 6, value was 20, and right hand limit is 20. So the left hand limit is not equal to f of 3, that was equal to the right hand limit, and so f of x is not continuous at x is equal to 3. So, and it implies is that x equal to 3 is the point of discontinuity of the function. So function becomes a discontinuous at x is equal to 3. It was continuous at x equal to minus 3, but the point of discontinuity is x is equal to 3. And that is what we have completed. Now that complete the theory part about the continuity. So with this theory, you can solve the NCERT textbook exercise 5.1. If you have any problem in finding the answer, you may refer the address given of this website. And in M5 indicates that is a lesson number 5. From this, you will get all the solutions of the exercise 5.1. And so you can solve this. I hope you have understood the concept. You can apply and you can solve this. Thank you, students.